So we are starting with 20 grams of the C2H2, and we have 30.4 grams of the O2. And we want to know again how many grams of H2O that we're going to produce. So we're going to do two problems. We're going to do one with the 20.4 grams of the C2H2. And we're going to do another one with the 30.4 grams of the O2. So why don't you try and do those 3 steps, grams of C2H2 into grams of H2O, grams of O2 into grams of H2O. Start doing that. So if you look up on top here, I did work them out for you. If there's a mistake, let me know. Is that what you got? Okay. So now with your groups, see if you can do what's the limiting reactant, what's the theoretical yield, what is the excess reactant. See if you can pick those out. All right, what's going to be our limiting reactant? O2 is our limiting reactant. Yep. O2 is our limiting reactant. What's our theoretical yield? 6.85. Yeah, Brandon, do you have a question?
Why is it limiting reactant?
Because what does your what does this say right here? It's the reactant that runs out first, and it makes the least amount of product.
But like, how do we tell that it runs out first?
Because it makes the least amount of product.
Add the lowest number that you get.
So let me go over this again because that's a good question. If all 20.4 grams of this is used up, we should be able to make 14.12 grams of H2O. That's assuming that this is the excess. That's what this problem is showing. If we assume that all of this is going to get used up, we're going to make 6.85 grams of H2O. And that's assuming that we have lots of this left over. One of them is a lie, Brandon. This one is lying to us. We will never make the 14.12 grams of H2O because 30.4 grams of O2 will make 6.85 grams of H2O. Once that 6.85 grams of H2O is made, what's going to happen to the reaction? It stops. It can't go on anymore. And if it can't go on anymore, it can't make any more H2O. So we know this is a limiting. We know this is going to run out first because it makes the least amount of product. Okay? So 6.85 grams of H2O. And then what's our excess reactant? C2H2. All right. See if you can do 9, A, B, C, and D. And I'll help you with E again. How much excess reactants left over? Try 9. See if you can do 9 right now. Oh, and on this one, did you all see that we're going to SNF2?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it says it down there. If you went to the other one, you're still going to find the limiting. You just have to do another step at the end. If you went to the other one, it's fine. You can still find the same limiting. You can still find the same limiting. You can still find the same limiting.
Takes a while to write everything down.
Oops. All right, so how many grams, or what's the theoretical yield of SNF2 that's going to form? 27.85, yep. So in this case, if you would have gone to H2, you would have to find the limiting and then, go to grams of SNF2. What is the limiting reactant and why is it the limiting reactant? So first of all, what is the limiting reactant? SN. Why is SN the limiting? Well, but why? Yes, you run out of it, but how do you know? It comes back to Brandon's question. How do you know that you run out of it? It produces the least amount of product. You have to put that down. It produces the least amount of product. If you just say that it runs out first, that's not going to be the right answer. Because you have to tell me why. Why? Because it produces the least amount of product. What's going to be the excess reactant? HF, yep. Okay, so now we need to figure out how much of the excess are we going to make? Well, we know that HF is our excess. And we know that we're going to use all 21.1 grams of the tin. So I'm going to start with the 21.1 grams of the tin. And if I know that all 21.1 grams of the tin is going to get used up, I'm going to see how much of the HF we're going to use. So I'm going to do 21.1 grams of SN. And then we know that 1 mole of SN is going to be 2 moles of HF. And then 1 mole of HF is 20.01 grams of HF. So I get 1.78. Did I do this wrong? 21.1 divided by 118
I got 7.1.
times 2 times 20.01. 7.11
Yeah, that's what I got.
grams of HF. So that's how many grams of HF are what? Nope. We're using. Are needed, are used. So if you have 21, if you use all 21.1 grams of tin, you're going to need 7.1 grams of HF. But how many grams of HF did we start with? 34.5. So now we're going to take 34.5 grams of HF. This is what we have, minus 7.11 grams of HF. This is what we need, and that will give us what is left over. Oops, 34.5 minus, so 27.39. That's how much excess is left over. What questions do we have right now?